Stay tuned for Butler on Business, coming up next on the Liberty Express.
Our next guest made a name for himself as Chief Evangelist for Apple Computer in the 1980s, and since then has tested and proven his ideas with multiple startup companies. Guy Kawasaki is also a best-selling author of more than half a dozen business books. He joins us now to tell us how, even amidst this current economy, you can use Enchantment, the art of changing hearts, minds, and actions. That's the name of his latest book to start or advance the career that you desire.
Guy, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you very much for having me.
Now, what is a chief evangelist?
A chief evangelist. This was my second tour of duty at Apple, 95 to 97. I was brought back to make sure that the Macintosh cult remained happy and loyal to Apple. And so I was evangelizing that cult for a couple of years there until Steve returned.
Did Steve's return make you leave?
Nope. Steve's return meant that I could leave, and I started another company. I went for another opportunity.
Well, let me say this. There are three of us here in the studio, and two of us are Mac heads.
Yeah. and the third one is oppressed.
The third one, he's sitting over there giggling right now. Got his Microsoft stuff up there. Now, I will say I do run a lot of Microsoft products on my Mac, but I am a Mac head.
The third one came from a corporate environment where the Mac option, unfortunately, was not available.
Well, but it could have been. That's the one thing about the Apple, Jason. It can do both. In fact, my Mac, I have a Mac Tower, Guy.
Yeah.
With 4 cinema displays attached to it, but it runs 4 operating systems.
You have 4 cinema displays?
I have 4 cinema displays. I have 4 operating systems. I run 2 operating systems concurrent, and then the other 2 I reboot as.
Man, you are a geek's geek. That is a lot of stuff.
Well, now, I used to have a lot of geeks. I kind of have some geek at heart. But, yes, I mean, you'd like it. I've got all the fancy video cards and all that. I've always prided myself in my firepower.
That's like saying Ted Turner, understands a little bit about news or something. Yeah, I mean, you clearly are right up there.
Well, I used to write code back in the day, so things have changed. You can't stay on top of it. But I tell everybody, the languages have changed, but the concepts have not. Now, what is enchantment, and what role does it play in one's career?
Well, enchantment is the process of creating a relationship with people that's mutually beneficial, deep, long-lasting, and voluntary. And since you're, 2 out of 3 of you are Mac heads, you'd understand that Apple has an enchanting relationship with its customers that's different from most computer companies, which is more transaction-oriented.
Well, and I'm sitting here, I got my iPad, my iPhone, I'm rocking out on my Apple stuff. And the one thing I would say that Apple has done is they have embraced the concept of beauty in simplicity.
Yes.
And it's many times it's what you leave out that enhances a product.
Yes. I say that there are 3 components to enchantment: likability, trustworthiness, and quality. And one of the qualities of quality is elegance. And Apple has that nailed, that's for sure.
Now, how does one go about achieving each of your 3 pillars of enchantment?
Well, likability is the start. That's based on a great smile that uses both your eye muscles and your jaw muscles, so you want crow's feet. You also have to have a good, firm handshake, and you have to default to a yes attitude. So when you meet people, you're always thinking, how can I help the other person? The second pillar is trustworthiness. For trustworthiness, you need to, first of all, understand that you have to trust others for them to trust you. So it's not a chicken or egg question. The order is you trust others, they will trust you. Secondly, you become a baker, not an eater. An eater sees the world as a zero-sum game. Sees a pie and thinks, I have to eat that pie before anybody else does. A baker thinks, I can bake more pies, and everybody can have more pie. And the third component of trustworthiness is knowledge and competence. Knowledge being knowing what to do, and competence how to do it. My partner, DeVry University, specializes in teaching people how to become more knowledgeable and competent. And the third component of likability is quality. And these are things like depth. Great products and services have a lot of features and benefits. They are intelligent. You look at them and you see, someone understood my pain, understood my problem. They're complete. They're not simply the software. They're the software and the download, the online support, the documentation, the webinars and seminars and conferences. Great products are also empowering. They don't fight you. They make you more powerful, more creative, and more productive. And finally, they're elegant, which we talked about already. And, there's a human interface to them.
Guy, for somebody who's looking to maybe advance their career or excel in the field that they've chosen, can they translate these types of things into achieving success in the business world? Absolutely. There's a whole chapter about how to enchant people that you work for. 2 key points here. First of all, understand that your job is to make your boss look good, not bad. And when your boss looks good and advances, you will advance with him or her. So, stop thinking about making your boss look bad so you can get a position over him or advance over him. It's not going to happen that way. The second key point for enchanting your boss is when your boss asks you to do something, drop everything else and just do that. By the way, that's very good advice for men when it comes to their wives. So when your wife asks you to do something, drop everything else and do it, and you'll have a much happier marriage, too.
Yeah, and learn to pick your battles.
Well, basically, you just surrender every battle.
Well, I remember one time my son wanted to head out of town a day early, and he went up and asked his mom, and she said, yeah, sure, y'all do whatever you want to do. And he came down and said, Dad, it's all right for us to go.
Yeah.
And I explained to him, no, bud, that's not what she said. You got to read between the lines.
Yes, you do.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've done an excellent job in creating a cult over there at Apple. So what's the one you're working on now?
I have a website called Alltop, which is a news aggregation site. So it aggregates and curates all these RSS feeds so people don't have to. And we have about 900 topics that go from A to Z, from adoption to zoology. So that's my current project. And, of course, this new book.
Guy, let's talk about the art of start.
Yeah.
Rules for revolutionaries.
Yeah.
Now, we're currently involved in a new product that we're developing.
Yep.
And it's going to be a paradigm shift.
Okay.
In its category.
Okay.
What are some pointers?
Well, the first thing is to get that prototype out into the field as fast as possible, because no matter how much you think you know about your customers and what they'll do and what they need, you're going to learn something in that first 2 weeks that you never, ever considered. So I believe in rapid prototyping, getting it out right away. I also believe that you have to remove all the barriers to adoption. So I don't know what your product does, but don't put any fences in front of people, because it's very hard to get people to try things, and you're only making it harder if you put fences in front of them to try things. One good example that you might appreciate is this CAPTCHA system, right? So you go to these websites and you have to register for an account, and they make you prove that you're not a robot by reading some unreadable text that you enter 3 or 4 times, and it's still not what the computer thinks it is.
I hate those.
Yeah, I hate those too. That's an example of, cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Okay, now you've got rules for revolutionaries as part of the art of start. What are some of the rules, or are those the ones? Are those your big ones right there?
Well, I think the most important rule is that great innovation occurs when you jump to the next curve, not when you duke it out on the same curve. So, Macintosh is not a slightly better Apple II or slightly better MS-DOS machine. And a good example is the ice business. There used to be an ice harvesting business in the 1900s, and then the next curve was the ice factory business where people froze water. And then there was the next curve, which is the refrigerator. And so the key here is to get to the next curve.
Well, Guy, I think that's all excellent information. Tell them how to get in touch with you. Okay, 2 ways. One is to go to my website, GuyKawasaki.com, and the second way to get information is at devry.edu. And by the way, DeVry has a branch in Atlanta.
Yes, they do. All right.
Good talking to you,
The
Guy.
book is Enchantment, The Art of Changing Hearts, Minds, and Actions. Guy Kawasaki, thanks for the time.